Hi, I'm Sarah Tuck, editor of Dish Magazine, and I'm here to show you that cooking great food doesn't have to be complicated or stressful. I've got a really full-on job, a busy social life, and love to spend a lot of time hanging out with my family, so it can be hard to find time to prioritise cooking at home. But with a bit of planning and a couple of cheats and tricks, you, like me, can cook fantastic food for yourself, your friends and family. I can't wait to show you just how easy it can be to cook and entertain and have fun doing it. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we've got Patrick here on the camera and my darling friend Nettie who's just arrived. And tonight I've got my son and his boyfriend coming for dinner and I'm going to make them a family favourite recipe for chicken pie. And then afterwards for dessert we're going to have the most indulgent dark chocolate and hazelnut ice cream. Also during the day I'm going to throw together a couple of really quick and easy pizzas for lunch. But the first thing I need to do is to get the ice cream into the freezer so it's got time to freeze before dinner. But also I need to put my glasses on, otherwise I'm going to be chopping my fingers off. Nettie, can you tell me if I've got any little pokey bits sticking out? Right, first thing we need to do is to chop 150 grams of chocolate and melt it with some cream. And I think in the old days people used to say, you know, that you always had to do it over a pot of boiling water so the chocolate didn't catch. But to be honest, I just nuke it and it's usually pretty much okay. So it doesn't even need to sit for too long. And then to this, we're going to be putting some, some Frangelico. We need to kind of stop and check.
So how much is that?
That's 1/4 cup. And smell that deliciousness.
Oh,
I know. Oh, so good. And you don't have to use Frangelico. You could use, I've done it with amaretto, or you could do it with, you could do a whiskey version. You could do, yeah, all sorts of different things in there. So that just whisks into there. And then I'm going to whip this cream to kind of reasonably firm peaks. Oh, actually, before I do that, otherwise you're all going to be spattered with cream. This is a trick that we always use, and I'll still probably manage to get it all over myself, but so that's your protection. Add one 395 gram tin of sweetened condensed milk. Okay. So that doesn't look very attractive, but we're just going to whisk that in. So it ends up like a kind of a thick, soft whip. The dark cocoa is definitely the way to go.
Where can you buy that?
Every supermarket should have it, yeah. I just get mine from, just down the road. Okay, away we go. Oh. Yum. Now, one of the things I like about making my own ice cream actually, even though this is totally kind of cheaty pants ice cream, is that you can put it into whatever container you like too. So this is really perfect. It's quite shallow, so the ice cream freezes reasonably quickly. But I've done it in like nice bowls, nice ceramic bowls and things like that. So instead of having to, hide your ice cream like from a container if you've bought it, you bring out the beautiful bowl or the vessel to the table. Okay, so the chocolate ice cream is in the freezer and I made it in there reasonably unscathed. So next I'm going to make a chicken pie, but first of all we're going to cook the chicken. I much prefer to cook my own chicken rather than trying to use like chicken breasts or thighs or kind of roasted chicken. And actually I love the smell of chicken cooking in the house so much with all of the things that I'm going to put in it that sometimes I just stick a chicken in a pot at the weekend so I can smell it, and I don't know what I'm going to turn it into yet. But today it's a chicken pie, so we're going to use the stock that comes about from cooking the chicken as well. So into that we're just going to stick a carrot.
So you don't need to peel it or anything?
Not for this bit. I peel it for the filling, but this is just for seasoning, so it's not going to end up kind of in the pie. So a couple of bay leaves, and I've got some thyme. And okay, so just be non-judgmental with my chopping skills, because my knife skills are pretty crap.
So do people know that you didn't train as a chef?
Oh God, they will now. No, I mean I didn't even train as a cook, but you know I've always loved cooking. So
Where did you get all your skills from? Did you start young?
yeah, I mean I did actually. I remember I first started cooking when I was living in Australia with the family when I was about kind of 13. Yeah, and there was a few ups and downs while we were away, and I used to find cooking just a lovely way of relaxing, but also doing nice things for the family. So yeah, no, I that's kind of when I started to associate cooking with being a loving thing, which I you know what I'm like. I think it's cooking is basically like love, really. Yeah, so it's probably too many cloves, but I love a clovey chicken.
So for a lot of people, cooking is quite stressful.
Yeah, well, for my mum, it's particularly stressful. It's quite stressful for me today, but it's not normally. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this, was because I know a lot of people find cooking stressful and they think that it has to be really complicated or they have to be really skilled, but clearly that is not the case. I mean, you don't have to be particularly skilled to make amazing food. So I'm just going to pop this on the oven or on the cooktop and try and get it without spilling. And I'm going to bring that to the boil. Actually, got the pepper. So I'm going to bring that to the boil and then let it simmer for at least an hour and a half until the chicken is starting to fall off the bones. And then we're going to take the chicken meat off the carcass, put the carcass back into the stock, and then boil it again for another kind of 30 to 45 minutes so that it makes a really beautiful rich stock. Yeah. So I'm now going to make a couple of pizzas, and we're just going to have them for lunch today.
So are they just the bases that you buy at the supermarket?
Yeah. I mean, they're fantastic because they keep in the freezer. They're flat, so they don't take up too much space, and they've got a really nice thin kind of crispy base. That's the oven just coming to temperature that's at 200 degrees, fan baked. So it's actually super hot because I only cook them for about 10 minutes. I'm going to do one a salmon pizza and one a zucchini pizza. So I always just stick a little bit of mozzarella over with the parmesan. Okay, so they've both got probably 2/3 parmesan and 1/3 bit of grated mozzarella. And then obviously don't make this one when zucchinis aren't in season. At the moment they're still a really good price. But you'd think, would you not, that zucchini not having a lot of flavour would be a bit meh on a pizza. But with the zucchini we're going to put chili flakes and lemon zest and lots of salt and pepper. And it's just bloody delicious.
They sort of take up the flavours that you put with them, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I mean, you can put just about anything on a lovely cheesy crispy pizza base and it's going to be good. And the lemon is kind of pretty critical. I sometimes do this with a bit of mint at the end as well, but I forgot to get it. So, I often don't. Where's my salt? There it is. So, plenty of salt and chili flakes. So that's quite a few chili flakes, but we like it with quite a bit of heat. So anything else I have to go in there? Just some black pepper and then a little bit more cheese. Drain a ball of buffalo mozzarella and blot the excess moisture with a paper towel. Then tear it into small chunks and dot it over the pizza. And so that's going straight onto the hot tray. And I mean this, oh my God, it's basically apologetic as a recipe because it's just got that same kind of cheesy base. And then
Could you sort of use fresh salmon as well? Or is this just a smoked salmon?
I wouldn't do. I think the fresh salmon, is a bit kind of rich and oily for this. I mean, what's nice about this is you get that kind of saltiness of the salmon. And I think it would probably be all a bit much with the cheese. So that's plenty.
Yeah.
And then same again. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of parmesan on this one too, because this one won't have the buffalo mozzarella. I'll save that for my next zucchini one. And then this is also going to have lemon and salt and pepper. When it comes out of the oven, I'm going to drain some capers and just pop uncooked capers on there too. And it'll be really lovely and sharp against the oily salmon.
So this is something that you don't need to make in advance, right? You
Oh,
just
God.
make it when people are sitting here like me.
Absolutely. I mean,
An actual
I have
fact.
actually done this for you many, many times. So yes, indeed, that's. I mean, like pizzas are my go-to for a really quick thing always. I mean, whether it's like a quick catch-up on a Friday night or when Herb comes over for dinner during the week, dinner is literally done from starting to eating in half an hour basically.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be easier. Have I forgotten anything? I don't think so. Okay.
And so you've already heated up the...
Yeah. So it's already
plate, right?
nice and hot and going straight onto the hot.
Oh, that smells so delicious.
Oh, it will
Oh,
be.
yum.
Mwah. Yeah, baby. Okay, I think the salmon one's not far away. Just a sec. Oh, yum. Oh yeah, that looks fantastic.
Oh, so nice and golden.
Yeah. One of the things with pizzas or pies or any kind of baking like that, I reckon is to take them just past. People often take them out just a tiny bit too
Yeah.
early. Just give it a little bit more. I'm going to show you a trick. Well, it's not really a trick, but I think it's brilliant.
Oh, that is such a good idea.
I
'cause
know.
I'm always trying to fish them out with like forks and
Yeah,
things
well,
like that.
the good thing is then you can put the brine back in as well.
That is clever.
I know. Oh, professional skills right there. Okay, so the capers are so important with this one. Yeah.
So what do they sort of bring to it?
Well, it's just that salty sharpness with the richness of the cheese and the salmon. It's just like a perfect kind of cut through. And they roll off. So you've got to watch them. Okay, we can cut the zucchini one. Would you like a piece of pizza? Oh, that's what they call the pull, isn't it?
Thank you.
There you go, and we'll leave that one to rest for a sec.
So Sarah, how do you know when the chicken's cooked?
Well, I usually just pick it up and give it a bit of a jiggle, and like just happened there with the leg falling off, that means it's just about done. It's not like when you roast a chicken and you pierce through the skin to make sure the juices run clear. And I want this to be like really super and tender and soft, because when the chicken goes into the pie, I'm going to shred it rather than cutting it into chunks. So that's just about done now. Now I'm going to take my pot, which is wedged to the cooktop. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take the chicken out and then drain the... Actually, I'm just going to...
All right, so
I actually don't need to drain it out. What I'm going to do is take the chicken out, take the chicken meat off the bones, and then I'm going to stick all of the bones and the fat and everything else back into the stock, and then it's going to cook down a little bit further. But you can smell, it smells amazing, hey?
It does, smells incredible.
Just from the cloves and things that I put in before. Just one moment, Corner. This is a really ugly kind of thing to do, but honestly, it's so worthwhile. And that stock is amazing for so many things. I always keep my leftover stock. Can you see steam, Patrick? I always keep my stock in the freezer because it's brilliant for risottos or any homemade soups. And once it's chilled, I'm going to show you in a minute, you skim the fat off and then you can just stick it in a flat plastic bag, sealable plastic bag, and lie it flat in the freezer, and it's just like liquid gold. So good. Okay.
Remove the chicken from the carcass using a knife and fork. Reserve the skin and bones and any little smaller bits and add them back into the stock to simmer to extract maximum flavour.
And I'm just going to let that cook together now for about another half an hour, and then I'm going to strain all of the extra bits out of it and be left with this like really flavour-packed amazing stock. Okay, we're back to the ice cream. It's been in the freezer for about 3 hours and it's frozen a little bit, but it's still got a bit of a jiggle to it. So I'm just going to chop some hazelnuts and warm some jam in the microwave and then just put blobs of that into it and then kind of stir it through.
So those are roasted hazelnuts, right?
Yeah, they're roasted hazelnuts. So quite often I buy them pre-roasted, but I couldn't get any yesterday, so I roasted my own. And there's a real trick to it. You want them to go, because they're covered in a black skin or a dark brown skin normally, so you want to pop them on a heated oven tray and a hot oven, basically until you can start to smell them, and the outsides will start to go a lot darker, some of them almost black actually. And then when you take them out of the oven, you can either put the hazelnuts between 2 tea towels on the bench and kind of roll them, and that gets all the little papery skins off. But if you've got asbestos fingers like me, I just kind of leave them in the pan for a second and then just pick them off as I go. And you kind of do that a couple of times because they get a lot of like little bits of skin attached to them. Okay, so how soft is it? We'll find out. Okay. Ah, beautiful. Okay. That's perfect. So this will kind of set back down again and even out a little bit. And that will kind of settle in so that when you scoop through, you get a nice big bit of jammy goodness with all that hazelnut and chocolate. And,
Oh, yum.
yeah. Oh, there's a hazelnut gone rogue.
So you want some big bits and some sort of little
Yeah.
crumbly bits, right?
Well, that's how I like it. I mean, that's actually just a styling thing that I like to have things really kind of a little bit uneven, and I think the little tiny bits look really pretty with the kind of small texture. And one of the things, like when we're writing recipes too, is always thinking about the combination of texture. So the nice thing about this is to get that really lovely cold creamy ice cream, and then the kind of real sweet hits of jam, and then the really crunchy hazelnut. So it's yeah, like just a perfect combination. Okay, so we've put the jam and the hazelnuts through the ice cream, and that's chilling in the fridge. That needs another 3 hours to set completely. And we've cooked the chicken, and I've just been boiling the chicken carcass and the fat in the stock to give it a really, really rich flavour. So I'm just going to grab that off now and strain it off, and then we'll chill it so that we can make the pie filling. So hang on. It is, oh my God. Really delicious.
So
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Alrighty, so this is a messy business. I would always advise putting I've got a colander over a bowl in the sink, just in case I lose any.
Drain the stock, removing all of the bones and skin, then pop the stock in the fridge to chill.
Right, next I am making the filling for the chicken pie. So we're going to start by showing off some more of my spectacular knife skills and cooking off a little bit of onion and carrot and leeks for our pie filling. And then we're going to add some of that reserved stock and some flour and thicken it all up. Right. Okay, actually, I'm just going to get this butter melting in a pot first. And because it's going to be the butter for making a roux for the filling, you actually use a lot more butter than you would if it was just for frying some vegetables, because to that you're going to add the flour and then the stock later. So don't be scared by the amount of amount of butter, I should say. So, I mean, you can chop the onion like super fine if you want to, but I don't mind having a little bit of texture from the vegetables that are in it, so I think that's kind of plenty fine enough. And then one thing when you are doing the mixed vegetables like this is the carrots actually takes quite a long time to cook, so that actually I do chop a little bit finer, and also because even though I don't mind quite a bit of onion in it, I don't want a big piece of carrot in my chicken pie. I want it to be mostly chicken with the leeks and the onion. So I'm just going to pop this in. Oh my God, even that butter smells amazing. Just give that a little stir. And then I just want to cover it and let it cook over a gentle heat for about 10 to 12 minutes until all of the vegetables are lovely and soft. Right, so I've just popped the lid on and I'm going to let that cook for about 10 to 12 minutes over a pretty gentle heat. I want the vegetables to be all cooked through and really lovely and soft but not coloured, and I don't want to lose any of the moisture from evaporation. So that'll be ready in about 10 minutes, and then we're going to add some flour and some stock. I'm just going to take the, I've taken the chilled stock out of the fridge, and I'm just going to take the fat off the surface, which is protecting all that lovely stock underneath. And actually, I'm just going to put that in here.
So it's a complete sort of jelly.
It is, yeah, absolutely a jelly. I mean, if you think of those old things in aspic that people used to make in the 60s, or I mean in probably medieval times, they did things in aspic to make it preserved. But yeah, I mean that was always in like meat jelly. So it's funny. It's one of those things that how bone broth is having a real moment. And to me, I mean, it still feels like stock because it's it's got all the cartilage and the skin and the bones which have been rendered down, so you get this incredible gelatinous. It doesn't look very nice now, but it'll look lovely in a minute. Yeah. So we'll just leave that for a second and wait for the vegetables to cook, and then we'll actually start off with some flour. So the vegetables have been cooking for about 12 minutes and they're all delicious and soft. So I'm just going to add in a couple of tablespoons of flour, big tablespoons. Sometimes when I'm making a sauce like this, I'll put up to a quarter a cup of flour in there because you don't want to have a really sloppy sauce in your pie. No one likes a soggy bottom, so you want it to be quite firm. And so that looks revolting, which it's supposed to, so that's fine. So I'm just going to add some stock. And we'll just start with a little bit and then add it as the flour cooks in. So you want to make sure that the flour is really well cooked in too, because otherwise it's got this horrible floury kind of aftertaste. So it does need to be cooked through. So I'm just going to let that cook just for a second without disturbing it. And then we're going to pop the chicken in and a little bit of cheese as well. And we may not actually use all of the chicken. There may be leftovers for chicken sandwiches tomorrow. I will check when I put it in. I feel mean that the boys are going to be eating this tonight, Netsky, and I'll be sending you home with no food.
That's all right. I've taken plenty of leftovers away from here.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to add that chicken to start off with and see if we've got enough. So I'm just going to pop this over here and stir through. It's about a cup of grated cheese, and honestly, whatever floats your boat when it comes to the cheese. Sometimes I put parmesan in, but it can be a little bit overpowering if you've got delicate, leeks in there. It depends what else you've got going with it. But for this one, I've just added a little bit of grated Gruyere. So I'm just going to stir that through. And then I'm going to transfer this to a different container and just chill it while I put the pastry into the pie tins, and then we can cook our pie. So next up, I'm going to put the pastry in the pie tins, and I use these little aluminium foil ones. I mean, I've had proper pie dishes before with mixed results, and I always find that these, because the heat transfers through so quickly through such a thin layer, that they cook really crisply and really well. So I'm just going to give them it's flaky puff pastry, so it's kind of loaded with butter anyway, but just to stop it sticking to the base. And if it's a really, really wet filling, sometimes I will do a short crust base with a puff pastry topping, just because it's a bit more solid.
So you don't need to pre-bake the pastry or anything?
No, I mean, yeah, not for this. I mean, yeah, praise be, otherwise we'd never get out of here. So I'm just going to line the pastry tin with some pastry, and I'm using this beautiful buttery flaky pastry, and because it's so soft and malleable, I don't have to do it in two parts. I can cut all the way around the outside and actually manipulate that into the tin, so you're not having to do a base and sides on your pie. So I'm just going to pop that in the freezer and get the other one ready. I'm just going to whisk a little bit of egg yolk and cream together. So we're going to use that to kind of glaze the top of the pie. I don't mind if I get a little bit of white in there, because the yolk alone goes like super duper yellow, so just a wee bit's good. And I'll grab our chilled pastry base and the filling out of the freezer. It's not normally quite as chilled as I would have it, but it's still pretty good. So I've got another container of chicken to make a second pie. Still to go, but we'll do that after. And when I do it, I like to really pack it. I don't want a little flat pie where you've got all pastry and no filling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to cut our lid. Gosh, this pastry is really soft. It softens like super duper fast in the heat. That's why, generally speaking, it's best not to work with pastry when you've got the oven going and some lovely lighting and it's very hot. Anyway, it's not too bad. Okay. Pop the tiniest bit of egg around the outside. I actually don't like to put loads and loads on, because sometimes it can actually make it less adhesive. I find it gets a bit slippery, so I just want just a tiny bit. I'm just going to use my thumb some to seal the pastry edges together. And I'm just going to pop that whole thing back in the freezer for like 5 minutes, and then the pastry will be firm enough that I can just trim around the excess from the outside. So I'll just do that now. So I'm just going to trim the pastry around the outside just by running the edge of the knife around it. And actually I find this helps with sealing the edges together as well. Okay, and I saved a bit of excess pastry before because it would be really, really weird if I didn't like at least put a heart on it when the boys come over.
So you can get a nice crimped edge on it just by using your thumb.
I much prefer it to using a fork actually. I think I really like the size of it. Okay, next we do a little bit more of the egg wash on top.
Does the cream sort of make it even more golden or something?
Yeah, it does. It's like a combo deal. It really does help make it golden. And I'm going to sprinkle it with some white sesame seeds, which always just looks so absolutely gorgeous. I'm a real fan of sesame seeds on a pie. But I've used all sorts of different ones successfully, like poppy seeds are lovely. That little, gorgeous poppy flavour. Henry's just texted to say the boys are on their way and it's been a hot day in the kitchen. So I'm just going to quickly go and throw a fresh shirt on. Thanks so much for joining me in the kitchen today. I've had such a good time and I hope you have too.